play this. We can roll this into the writer's strike, the Screenwriters Guild strike. We can also roll this into the recording industry suing 17-year-old kids for $200,000. These are all manifest of one thing. We profited from a distribution system that we were able to control. Record companies were able to record artists, to tie up that recording and put it into a distribution network that they also controlled. So if you wanted to get that record, you had to pay money for it. And that was all the result of record pressing, which was expensive, and distribution of that. And you were able to control that. You were able to control who came in, who came out. You were able to get profit. You were able to steal from the rich, give to the poor, taking a liberal amount for yourself. You were able to congregate. If you were Berry Gordy, you were able to congregate all those Motown artists, or if you were Mo Austin, or you were David Geffen or Clive Davis. You built these infrastructures and these empires with different producers and artists, and they would flow in and out. But basically, you had a fundamental wealth that you were able to concentrate these people, force them to compete with one another, and you were able to raise the bar to unbelievably high levels, which is why my students are listening. My students who are 20 years old are listening to music that is on their iPods to an average of about 50 or 60% of their music is pre their birth, comes from these era of gatekeepers. And so the thought was, well, once we get the man out of there, it's the man who's holding us down. Once we make this democratic, everything will be better. And of course, you and I haven't actually seen that. And it may be old fogeydom, but I don't think so. What's happened is that we have certain entities whose creative output are subject to digital encoding. At my last count, there's about 7 of them. Ready? Newspaper, radio, television, movie, publishers, books, music, software. They're all subject to digital encoding and digital transfer. And they transfer for nothing. They transfer for free. There is no money. I stood in front of my class last September looking at my beautiful students who are paying real money to take my class and real money to be at the Berklee College of Music. And I was struck with this sense, I got nothing to offer you on the backside of this. And I did not like that feeling. And I said, you got a website? And the kid goes, yeah, I got a website. And I go, are you making money off your website yet? And he goes, well, no. And I went, well, and then he said to me, but after I get to a certain level of visibility, I'll be able to make money. And I said, excuse me, you can send out the distress signal, but the Coast Guard isn't there. They don't exist. Their boats sank. That's not going to do it. And I didn't say that to him, but I was thinking that. And I'll tell you, I was deeply panicked at that moment. Not panicked, but deeply distressed. And so I thought about it, and I thought about these 7 entities and what we need to do. And let me explain what we need to do. The idea of a free internet is insane. It's nothing's free, and I can tell you what's expensive in particular. Truth is expensive. Artistic truth, political truth, journalistic truth. All of these truths cost money and resource, and lots of it. What we need to do, and I don't know how to do it, and I'm early in my thinking, and I'm not very bright. So what we need to do, though, is to figure out a way of either charging for the internet or having a tax that's levied somewhere or other. And then there's a reservoir of money that sits. You can't charge per use because any per use charge will be circumvented in a nanosecond. The money has to be sitting there and waiting, not dissimilar to what ASCAP and BMI do now with music licensing, where it sits there in a pile. And when your record gets played on the radio station, some of that money is triggered and it falls down, goes to the appropriate place. So what we need is a reservoir and a watermarking of all of these creative entities. And when your creativity travels through the ethers of the internet, it scrapes off a bit of this resource that then comes to you. And this is my early thinking. But until you get together, publishers, newspapers, television, radio, film, music, and software, and whoever else is subject to creativity being digitized and transferred through the internet, until you get these entities together and argue to people, listen, truth is expensive. You gotta pay for this stuff. I'm sorry. If you want me to send an investigative reporter down, the Miami Herald is going to send investigative reporters into the corruption that was associated with condominium development, which is now an absolute nightmare for the city of Miami in terms of the present real estate crash. That costs money. And if you got no classified advertising left and people are just stealing your writing on the internet, you are flat out of luck. Wait a minute, I'm not quite through here, because here's the problem if we don't have an internet that has a repository of money someplace for people who are looking for the truth. You leave in the internet in the hands of those people who are selling products that aren't subject to digitization. Walmart, Mobil Exxon, General Electric, all of these structures whose end product can't be digitized. They get the money and they get to say what the truth is, because they get paid for their product. And so you see MySpace, and you got the little cute 13-year-old kid just talking, no, it's the only way. And I bought the little sweater at Kmart, and I go, and all of a sudden you look at this and you go, is this true, or was this a plant? Was this a lie? Who's going to investigate this? Who's going to clean this up? It takes money to enforce and to speak and find the truth. I'm sorry. Right now, it's a pure free-for-all. And so you're leaving truth in the hands of those whose products aren't subject to digital transfer. That means Walmart, Kmart, Mobil Exxon, General Electric, you go down the list. And I see that, no, I don't agree with you, Greg. I think that people love the truth, want the truth. They're resigned to not getting it. But no, they